The expedition had been marching for 6 hours across the crystalline plains of Xerxine 7 when the cub attacked. Valeria felt the impact between her shoulder blades, weight that would have sent most species crashing face first into the azure soil. Instead, she merely stumbled forward 2 steps, caught herself, and continued walking. The Galactic Expedition Force's mixed species column didn't even break stride around her. Contact, chittered Xyrax, the Valorian scout, his 3 eyes widening in alarm as he spotted the mottled creature clinging to Valeria's tactical vest. Kraxan cub, hostile juvenile. Commander Thelvan, a towering Caridin with scales that shimmered purple and Xerxine's twin sons, immediately raised one massive claw. Halt, medical team forward. The column stopped. 50 alien soldiers from a dozen worlds turned to witness what they assumed would be a tragedy. Kraxan cubs were notorious razor-sharp claws, bone-crushing jaw pressure despite their size, and a prey drive that made them attack anything that moved. The cubs were considered nearly as dangerous as the adults, who could tear through starship hulls. Valeria glanced over her shoulder as best she could. The cub, probably weighing 30 kilograms, had indeed latched onto her pack with all 4 sets of claws. Its triangular head, covered in bony plates, pressed against her neck. She could feel hot breath and hear low growling. Stand completely still, human Valeria, Thelvan commanded, his translator struggling with the urgency in his voice. One wrong move and it will sever your spinal column. Valeria raised one hand slowly, waving off the concern. Sir, requesting permission to continue the march. Silence fell across the column like a physical thing. What? The word came from Victor, her fellow human, and the expedition's communications specialist, who had been walking 3 positions behind her. He pushed forward through the crowd of aliens. Val, are you insane? That thing is scared. Valeria interrupted, her voice calm. Look at it. Victor did. So did everyone else. And now that panic wasn't clouding their perception. They could see what Valeria had somehow sensed immediately. The cub's claws were dug in, not in attack, but in desperation. Its growling wasn't aggressive, it was the sound of an exhausted, terrified infant. The Kraxan migration, Xyrax whispered, comprehension dawning. We crossed through their territory. This one must have been separated from its pack. It's been following us, Valeria said, somehow certain. Probably 4 kilometers. Finally got up the courage to jump on when we passed close to those rocks. Thelvan's translator couldn't quite capture the emotion in his voice. Was it confusion? Admiration? Human Valeria, your species' pain tolerance is documented, but surely it doesn't hurt much. She lied. The claws had definitely penetrated her vest and the thermal layer beneath. She could feel blood trickling down her back. Permission to continue, sir. We're behind schedule, and standing still is probably scarier for the cub than moving. The Caridin commander looked at Victor, as if the male human might talk sense into his companion. Victor just shrugged, a gesture he'd had to teach the aliens meant uncertainty or resignation. In human military history, Victor offered, there's this thing called rucking. Soldiers march for days with heavy packs. Val here once carried 45 kilos for 30 kilometers during training. She's stubborn enough too, I prefer determined. Valeria interjected. Despite the tension, several aliens made sounds their translators rendered as laughter. Thelvan's scales rippled, his species equivalent of a resigned sigh. Very well, but the medical team stays close, and if that creature so much as understood. Sir, Valeria started walking before he could finish. The column resumed its march, though now with dozens of eyes constantly flickering toward the human with a predator clinging to her back. The first hour was the hardest. The cub's weight, combined with her standard 40-pound pack, made every step a conscious effort. Valeria focused on her breathing, on the rhythm of boots against soil, on anything except the burning in her shoulders and the sting of claw punctures in her skin. The cub's growling slowly diminished by the second hour. Victor had fallen in beside her. He didn't speak, just matched her pace, his presence a silent support. Other humans in the expedition began cycling through positions near her, never quite acknowledging what they were doing but forming an unconscious honor guard around their fellow Terran. Why are you doing this? Xyrax finally asked, his curiosity overcoming his fear of disturbing the situation. Your species' endurance is legendary, yes, but this is unnecessary. We could sedate the creature, remove it, and then what? Valeria asked, her voice strained but steady. Drop it in the middle of nowhere. It's already lost its pack. It's terrified and alone. It is a predator, Thelvan observed from ahead. A creature that would consume you without hesitation once grown. Maybe, Valeria acknowledged. But right now, it's just a scared kid who needed someone to hold on to. By the third hour, the cub had stopped growling entirely. Its breathing had evened out. Valeria felt the weight shift slightly as the creature's desperate grip relaxed into something more like an embrace. "It's asleep," Victor whispered, awe in his voice. Word spread through the column in a dozen languages. Soldiers who had been ready to blast the cub off Valeria's back now stared in wonder at the human, who had simply outlasted a predator's fear through patience and endurance. When they finally made camp, Valeria carefully knelt, allowing the expedition's xenobiologist, Gentle Pitherin named Morthos, to examine the sleeping cub. Its claws had retracted. It made small, whistling sounds in its sleep. "Extraordinary," Morthos hummed. "Its stress hormones have normalized. It has bonded with you." Valeria smiled wearily as the medical team finally insisted on treating her wounds. "Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. We once turned wolves into dogs, wild cats into companions. We can't help it. Something needs help, and we just keep going until it's okay." Thelvin approached, his massive form somehow conveying deep respect. "Human Valeria, your species continues to confound us. You are neither the strongest nor the fastest, yet we're stubborn," Victor finished, grinning. "And apparently, we adopt everything." The cub, still asleep on a thermal blanket, shifted and made a sound almost like a purr dot in the morning. When cracks and calls echoed across the plains, Valeria carried the cub toward the sounds. It took another hour of walking before the pack appeared. The cub woke, recognized its family, and with one last look at the strange, soft creature who had carried it home, bounded away. Valeria watched it go, ignoring the pain in her shoulders, and smiled. This, the aliens realized, was humanity, too stubborn to quit, too compassionate to abandon the helpless, and willing to walk until the very end if it meant something vulnerable might find safety. That was what made them terrifying. That was what made them family.